One of the most common comments I get on YouTube is that RV manufacturers aren't really innovating when it comes to floor plans and layouts. And I would tend to agree with you when it comes to things like technology, but I have to say 2025 has been just an explosion of new types of layouts and RV design. I think the downturn in the RV industry is actually causing a lot of manufacturers to just kind of throw things at the wall and try new things. One of the biggest trends that's fueling that change is these things: porches, decks, patios, whatever you want to call them. We have an electric fold-out Sundeck on our 37 RV Miles floor plan, our collaboration with Saber by Forest River. And I have to say, decks seem to be one of the most polarizing things on the internet when it comes to RVs. Some of you think it's the most amazing thing since sliced bread, and some of you think it's absolutely ridiculous to have a deck on the side of your RV when you can just go sit outside. And in reality, of course, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. On this video, I'm going to share with you all the details of the Saber Sundeck, and I'm going to talk about decks in general and all the pros and cons that come with them. And then I'm going to answer some of the most common questions I get about the Saber Sundeck. This is RV Miles. Welcome back, everybody. I'm coming to you from Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm maybe 30 feet from a road. It's very loud right here. There are lots of cars going by. Hopefully I'm able to filter the sound enough so you can hear me just fine. Let me know in the comments if I was able to do it or not. Porches, decks, and patios in RVs aren't new, but they are a new trend for this year. I think a lot of us have been seeing over the years the big patio on the back of a toy hauler. Toy haulers have this giant ramp door that comes down so that you can get your toys out, your side-by-sides, your golf carts, your ATVs, and then you can raise that ramp back up a bit and it becomes a porch. It's a nice double use of a feature on an RV. And I think a lot of us have been saying to manufacturers over the last several years, hey, we don't want a toy hauler, but can we get one of those decks? And now we've started to see a few floor plans out there that have a deck like that, the big ramp door off the back that isn't used as a ramp. And now there are other types of decks. There are fixed decks on the back of some larger RVs, which I think are really interesting. And then there are some foldable ones like the one we have here on the Saber 37 RV Miles. So first of all, is a deck necessary? Of course not. An RV is not necessary. So much in our lives is not necessary. But there are a lot of things that we love about having a deck like this. For one, it's rained here like crazy for the last 3 days. The ground I'm standing on is soaking wet. If I put a camp chair in this ground, the legs would sink right into it. The Sundeck is really nice to have because it stays dry. It's got an awning I can put out over it. I can close it up if it's raining, or I can leave it out in the rain and it dries pretty quickly. We've been to lots of boondocking locations where the ground is muddy and dirty, and we just didn't really want to track that stuff inside our RV. Putting out the Sundeck in those types of situations allows us to go outside in the shade without getting a lot of dirt inside. And of course, we love to be outside of the RV. We love to be at the picnic table. We love to be around the campfire. But you know, coming out in your pajamas and your morning coffee and sitting out on the deck without dealing with all the dew that's on your camp chairs and all that sort of stuff is really, really convenient. Plus, in a lot of scenarios, just that 3 or 4 feet of height off the ground actually gives you an incredible view that you don't have otherwise when you're down at ground level. But I'm going to talk more about the pros and cons of decks in a minute. First, I want to show you how this one works. But even before that, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's video. If you get a new RV or you're getting a used RV, perhaps you're going to want to change out the mattress because often the mattresses are terrible. A lot of people don't like to sleep on used mattresses. And of course, a great place to get a new mattress is rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding, where you can get a real mattress from a real mattress company, shipped to you, vacuum sealed wherever you are in the country, and you open it up, you let it expand, and you've got a real mattress that fits some of the odd sizes of platforms that manufacturers put in these things. Sometimes it's a short queen or a short king. Sometimes it's the camper king, which is not quite as wide as a real king. Sometimes you need different thicknesses of mattresses because maybe you have a wardrobe slide that closes over the top of your mattress and you need to make sure that you have room for it to close. All of those reasons are great reasons to visit rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding, where you can get a toxin-free mattress from their factory in Arizona shipped to you wherever you are. They have a 120-night sleep trial to make sure you're happy, but you're going to be happy. We've had their mattresses in the last 3 RVs that we've owned, and we even have them as all the mattresses in our house. We love them so much. Head over to rvmattress.com/RVMiles and use the code RVMiles and you get 30% off your order. It's the best deal they ever offer. 30% off at rvmattress.com/RVMiles using code RVMiles at checkout. Okay, so let me real quick show you how to bring the Sundeck out. But before I do, just to show you a couple things, you do get an outlet on the outside of a Saber right next to the sun deck. So you can use that out on the ground, or you could use it for the deck itself. You get a cable port. So if you do want to put a TV outside on a stand or something, you could. And you get a spray port. It does come with a spray hose. So if you want to use that to spray down the deck, we usually just sweep it off. But if you had a need to spray off the deck, you've got a spray port there as well. So really all you need to do to bring it out, it's motorized. You just have to unlock it from the outside. It's got these big latches, one on either side. You just open them up. And I'll just leave those unlocked at a given campsite because I can open and close the sun deck as I please, as long as they're locked up before we travel. So here on the inside of the rig, we have this control panel over here. It's got a key, which is really nice because you don't want kids playing with this. I actually wish there was a key lockout to all slides so that not only kids don't play with it, so you don't bump it, but you put the key in, you turn it on, and then as long as those big locks on the outside are undone, you just press the out button and it starts to go out. And usually what I like to do is put it out just a little bit because that little bit can move really fast. And then once it settles, let it go the rest of the way. And then you have these two gates here that actually lash with a buckle in the middle. To be honest, this buckle's the most annoying thing. You have to kind of reach over here to do it. It's easily doable, but it can be kind of annoying. You open up these gates. There's one over here, and you can see they have a latch mechanism here that keeps them in place and keeps kids from opening and closing them. When we do the other side, and that's it. The sun deck is out and ready for use. Okay, so the Saber Sundeck is a product that is manufactured by Lippert Components. You might have heard of Lippert. They manufacture a lot of RV components out there. And you might see a couple different versions of this out on the market. You're really only seeing it right now on Sabers and Keystones, who've had it exclusive for a year. That year will be up soon, and you're going to see it on some other brands as well. But Saber has done a great job of making a use of this thing. We have it, of course, on the Saber 37 RV Miles, but it's also on the Saber 36 RP floor plan if you want a floor plan that's a little shorter and doesn't have a bunk room. What's great about this deck is it takes seconds to put out. It has plenty of room without taking up too much of your campsite. If you had one of those big toy hauler size decks like you can put on the back of a rig, they also put them on the sides of some fifth wheels, and that's going to go way out into your campsite, which is fine if you're cool with that, but you won't always be able to use that at every campsite. We have been pretty much able to use this every campsite we've been at, unless there's been a tree like right here or something, which has been fairly rare in the 9 weeks or so out of this year that we've camped in this rig. We love our big puffy chairs that we're able to sit out here in the morning. And we love that the awning can come down pretty low over it. Instead of like the height the awning would be over you if you're on the ground, to really shield you from the sun and from any sort of rain if you want to sit out in the rain. I sat out here in the rain last night. We had quite the thunderstorm and it was really beautiful to watch. And as you can see, we have a triple pane sliding glass door here. So this is a 10-foot long deck and it's about 4 feet wide. And you can open the door from that side or you can open the door from this side. Plus there's screens that go either direction. When the prototype of this unit came out, it didn't have screens on it. They weren't able to figure out how to make the room for the screens in the tracks available. But now they have, and we're able to have screens on it, which is kind of like the best feature about having it, because you get these giant sliding glass door panels that you can open up on the inside and let all kinds of fresh air in if the weather's right for that and you want to sit inside and you want to have the breeze coming through the rig. So as you can see from here in the living room, one of our favorite features of the Sundeck is just having this giant window. Even without the ability to go out on the deck, having all of this natural light inside the rig is really, really nice. And like I said, it's a triple sliding glass door, so you actually have 2 doors that open. Now, they both can't be open at the same time, because if they were to do that, they'd have to add actually 2 more tracks, one for the second door and one for the second screen. So the whole mechanism would get deeper and deeper and deeper. So because there's only 2 tracks to hold the screen doors and the windows, you can only open one at a time. So I can open this side, they both lock, by the way, and go on out, or I can close my screen off. On this model, on the Saber 37 RV Miles, it's the middle panel that doesn't open. The whole thing's configurable at the manufacturer. so that it could be the center panel that opens instead of the other two. So if you see this on a different rig in the future, it might be the center panel that opens. And then if I want to close the whole thing up, I just go back outside, I close those gates, and I press the button and bring it back up. It's so quick and easy to do that we'll often open and close the Sundeck many times on the same trip or even on the same day. Now you might say, why would you do that? Well, the first camping trip we took this year was 8 weeks long, and it was up into the Colorado mountains, into Utah, into Yellowstone, and we had lots of snow. So when it was snowing, we certainly brought the deck in, unless it was a light snow, so that snow wouldn't accumulate on it. The other thing is, if you've noticed in a lot of RVs, windows are horribly inefficient when it comes to heating and cooling. In the summer, they're going to allow a lot of sunlight and heat in, even in the Sabers, which Saber does a great thing. All of their division under Forest River does the same thing, where they have mirrored tint on all the windows, which really does help block the light significantly. You can really feel it like on an RV lot if you go in and check them out and you walk into different units, and the ones that have the silver tint on them, it really does make a big difference. But still, the sunlight comes in, it warms the rig up. In the winter, lots and lots of cold comes through the windows. And what's great about the Sundeck is, yeah, these big glass panes are going to be inefficient thermally. If you have the Sundeck out in like below freezing temperatures, you're going to use more propane heat. So we bring it in, and actually this is really thermally efficient. It becomes a giant double pane window, or even I think more insulated than a double pane window when it's closed up. I never feel these windows are hot or cold to the touch when the Sundeck is closed up. The other thing you notice is when it's closed up, you still get a pretty big window. Now, I'm sorry, it's dirty. The rig needs a wash. But I have a really big window still, and because the deck itself is up, about 4 feet high, it's kind of like a privacy window, right? If I'm sitting down on the sofa, you can't see me through that window, but I'm still getting natural light and seeing the outside. All right, so what are some of the pros and cons of a deck, a balcony, a porch? Well, this is a great hangout space. The size of this one, this is going to be one of the smaller ones. You could have one of the bigger decks where you can entertain the whole family or friends. 4 or 5 people could come out here. It starts to get tight. This does hold 1,200 pounds, so you do have a lot of weight capacity to put people out here, but generally it's just Abby and I, or one of us and one of the kids that are out here. And this is sort of a space actually to get away from the people that are on the electronics and all that, where we can sit and read a book, have our coffee, do some work, stuff like that. Another great benefit is having the awning out. The position of the sun right now, if I was just under the awning on the ground, the shadow of the awning is only about this far from the rig on the ground right now. But up here with tilting it down, I'm getting a bunch of shade. The biggest complaint I've seen people have about decks, awnings, patios is that they're a waste of space. And that could be true to you. I mean, if it's not something that you would use, yeah, it's a waste of space. There could be a slide right here that opens up the inside of the rig much, much bigger. We did not want a 5th slide on this RV. We didn't want 4 slides on this RV, but it's what we ended up doing. Having the deck takes up some outside space, but it gains some outside space. So it doesn't really feel like a compromise. Plus, we don't have to use it. If we're stopping for a single overnight, it's one less slide to put out. It just stays up. The type of patio that you have could block light, making the wall that it covers really be a solid wall. Just one of the reasons that we like this unit and we like this big glass window here. Of course, it's going to increase the cost of the rig. It increases the cost of the manufacturing and all of it. Saber actually had to get a big like suction cup crane in order to install these things on the rigs. It's really cool to see in action. But of course it adds more cost, maybe a little bit more weight. It doesn't really add time to our setup because again, you don't have to use it. It doesn't really require much maintenance other than keeping it clean. It's just a nice, lovely space to have. Definitely not something everybody needs, but it's something that we got really excited by when we first saw it, and we decided to put it on this rig because we really wanted one, and we're happy with that choice. It certainly might not be for you. So I'd love to know in the comments what you think about the trend of these sort of patios and decks And are they something that interests you or not? And if you have any questions about this that I didn't answer, I'm happy to answer them for you as well. What's missing on RVs that you would like to see? Let me know. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Remember, we have our mile marker community, our paid support community. You get extra podcasts and some live streams with Abby and I and a bit more. But it's just a group of RV Mile supporters that want to give back. You don't have to, of course. The best way to give back is to watch our videos and hit like and subscribe. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.